This is another one whilst I'm here, quickly on South American culture. I could talk more about the jungle culture, but I think I keep pretty much spouting the same points over and over again. I've given a fairly conclusive rundown of what happens out there, and to be honest, if you haven't been there or without pictures of these things, which I regret not taking, I regret not having the ability to take. I can't really explain this culture in the jungle to you any more thoroughly right now. Probably more in person I could describe this, but I don't want to have to do 50 freaking videos to give an extremely hyper accurate representation of this. So I'll just leave it at that, I think. I'm going to continue on and do another South American culture thing. I might make this the last video, I might not, just because I'm getting tired. And then I'll probably do one about learning a language, and then I'll do one about ayahuasca, and yeah, I'll do another about what is it? Zolpidem. I think it's no, it's Zopicron. Oh, well, I experienced a report about Zopicron, I think. So yeah, basically, as you know, I've been to South America for I don't know 4 months now. And there's obviously a lot of differences in South America, and there's a lot of preconceptions that people have. I want to clear that up now. One preconception is this idea of it being a very violent part of the world, led by cocaine dealers and all kinds of shady underworld business kind of shit out here. That's true, probably, but I can't speak from experience. This is true probably in parts of eastern Colombia still, because they're having a lot of problems with Venezuela at the moment in Colombia. And this is definitely true in Venezuela. Venezuela is probably one of the most violent places in the world, one of the worst places in the world right now, mainly because they're under an extremely brutal dictatorship. There's no fucking food in Venezuela, and everyone's rioting constantly. Venezuela is an extremely dangerous place to be right now. Apart from that, Colombia has a bad reputation. It's supposed to be quite dodgy, but I met a lot of people who are gringos out here, and I met quite a few Colombians actually out here, and it's not that dangerous. It's a bit rough. It's a bit rougher than Europe, that's for sure. There are definitely dangerous areas in the cities, but it's the same as all cities. Yes, it is more dangerous than Europe, though. I acknowledge, from what I've heard, that Colombia is probably more dangerous than Europe. Not sure what the cause of this is, because Colombia seems to be doing quite well actually in Latin America. It doesn't seem to have too many problems. It might be because they have a culture of marrying Americans, having surgeries performed on people, plastic surgery and cosmetic surgery very cheaply, and they have quite a fake culture. I don't mean like China where they make fraudulent goods. I mean they're fake people. They want money. They want all this progress, all this shit that the West wants, basically. But the difference between them and the West is the West kind of have it. So if they want more, like you'll see in London, people get a bit gangster, get a bit crazy, and they make a lot of money, but do a lot of bad things. It's the same in Colombia, but they don't have the money to start with. I feel this might be the problem. But I am just speculating, so feel free to slander the fuck out of me in the comments. It just seems to be the picture I've been given from everyone I've spoken to who's either been to Colombia or is from Colombia. And yeah, most of the people seem to say it's alright. There's just a few bad eggs. They get a bad reputation in the rest of Latin America, though. That's for sure. And yeah, they are just a bit dodgier. No offense, Colombia, but you're a little bit dodgy. But yeah, Venezuela is definitely quite dangerous. But Ecuador, Peru, Chile, pretty much the rest of fucking Latin America, from what I hear, is basically quite chill. I've only actually been to Peru, Ecuador, and Chile so far. So maybe my experience is limited. I will revisit South America at some point in my life and probably make some more videos. And also because I'd like to see the progress they make in their life. I think Ecuador is going to have quite a good economy in time, since it's selling a lot of oil and minerals. I don't like that, but it is what it is. It'll probably have a better economy as a result of it. Although it's weird. It's a socialist country that's selling a lot of shit to capitalist countries. It's very strange country. But I digress. Yeah, these countries, I feel quite safe here. Actually, in Ecuador, Peru, and Chile so far, I felt safer than I do in Europe most of the time. Actually, there's barely any homeless people, or I haven't met very many of them. And I'm in Lima right now, which is a major city, and there's hardly any fucking homeless people out here. I was told that people are quite poor out here, and they are, but they all have housing. I'm not entirely sure how. I don't know if it's, and I think it is because the people have a more socialist kind of way of living. And yes, I'm sure I'm going to get slandered by people in the comments who are going to say, oh, well, Peru's not a socialist country, and Chile's not really a socialist, and these countries are not socialist, whatever, but that's not my point. The countries' governments are not socialists, but the culture of the countries and the culture of the people is very socialist, very much let's help people out, eat, have this. And they're also some of the primary producers of agricultural product and food in the fucking world. So, they don't have really homeless people, they don't have much money, but they got a shit ton of food and they don't have homeless people. And I think for this reason they actually have less problems than we do in parts that don't have problems. I don't know, I haven't looked at the crime statistics, maybe they're fucking really high, but I don't think they are, and I think if they are, it's just either people are reporting it more, or someone's bumping up statistics because I just don't like the idea that South America is less violent than America and Europe. It just doesn't make sense with the cocaine dealing narrative that they're given. And actually here in Peru, cocaine is illegal. I think it's illegal in North South America. But the sale of coca leaves is perfectly legal. And there aren't that many people on this end who are making a big deal out of it, trying to talk about it like it's the end of the world. This is normal. The kids eat coca leaves and whatever, and it's all right. The kids are fine. Everyone's fine. Everyone's healthy. I like it here. I feel safer here than most of the rest of the world I've been to. Probably all of the rest of the world I've been to. In Ecuador and Chile, I feel safer than the rest of the world I've been to, and that's really saying something. But culture is very different in terms of this. There's this idea of all these coke dealers and all these wars. This probably does happen very deep in the jungle sometimes, but I don't think it's as bad as it's been made out to be. I feel like it was maybe a lot worse many years ago when it was first starting, or when there was more American involvement. I know that Chile was a lot worse many years ago, and a lot of these countries 10 to 20 years ago were very unstable, but at the moment they're pretty good. There's plenty of food, everything's cheap as fuck. Not really homeless people, and everyone's very nice here. I got sold this idea I was going to get kidnapped, and everyone was just looking for visas and just looking to screw the gringo over. I haven't experienced this. I have a girlfriend here, and I don't think she's just with me to get a visa. Of course, she wants to travel to Europe, so she wants a visa, but I told her, I may never want her to come traveling in Europe with me. And I also told her that basically I wouldn't marry for a visa. And this was at the beginning of the relationship. And she didn't give a fuck. She's been with me for 3 months. She's not just with me to hang out for a visa. And a lot of the people who I met said they'd love to go to the UK and to Europe and whatever, but they can't with the visas. But they asked nothing of me, and they didn't care of what I do. I've been sat around hotels and whatever, not really helping anyone, and these Latin American families just feed me, just help me out. And I thought maybe they're just trying to butter the gringo, but they did this to their Latin American friends, and pretty much everyone. They see people, the richer Latin Americans, when they see people on the streets, they give them a bit of money, a bit of food or whatever. They're a lot more generous than people in Europe. They're a lot more caring, definitely. It's sometimes it's frustrating to me because I'll be with Latin Americans and someone else will have a problem that you had in Europe. You give a bit of advice and you wouldn't. That's it. You leave them to. And these people go to the house and give them food and talk to the whole family and we all try and sort it out as a community. It's actually really changed my worldview and my view of Latin America. Really, these people are very communal and very nice people. And the narrative that there's all this, they're all just like vicious cocaine dealers, fucked up people with poor shitty cities is awful. They are poorer than us, that's for sure, but they're probably much better people than we are as well, to be honest. And not because they're poor, because they're better people than we are. Period. They're nicer people. And they're not as intelligent as us. And that's not because they're not born as intelligent as us. Sorry, that came out wrong. And have as good education as us. Because they don't have the money for education systems. And also because they're Spanish. They speak Spanish, right? And the English took over a lot of the world. And English became the main language. Now, English actually has a lot of words taken from a hell of a lot of other countries. For example, you probably didn't know that pajamas is actually the name in Indian for pajamas. It came from India, this word. A lot of words in our language came from the rest of the world, right? And after we took over the world and, we're the leading people for education, things got translated to our language first so we could understand it, not for the benefit of everyone else, because they were the slaves. We didn't translate it to their languages so they understood. We told them what the fuck to do, and we won't kill them because we own them, which is awful, but that's history, right? And as a result of this, everything got translated into English first, all the education, all the information. So if you speak English, you have better access to education to begin with, because everything is translated into English first. All of the best universities in the world translate everything to English. The people here all learn English with the university courses. It's the same in India, and I'm pretty sure it's the same in China. And they all translate all the information to English so that universities can understand it, because everything that's in English is better. There's more information in English, so there's more to access. That's the first thing of education. The second thing is they don't have the money to pay for supplies. They don't have the money to pay for translations as such, as efficiently. And they don't have as effective working techniques or techniques in general, because they don't have the education for it. So they're less effective in everything they do. They have less access to information and they have less money in order to develop themselves in terms of education. So the reason they are less educated or don't understand as much in the world as we do is not because they're fucking morons. It's because they don't have any money, and English is basically the language of the world. English is the intellectual language of the world, I'd say. Maybe I'm wrong, maybe I'm being big-headed, maybe I'm saying this backwards, but I would suggest that this is true. Every airport in the world, there are English interpreters, you'll find. You'll find that pretty much everyone in the world wants to learn English. The biggest demand in the world for learning language is to learn English, not to learn Chinese, not to learn Spanish. You can get jobs in Saudi Arabia for, I think, £100,000. I think it's in between £80,000 to £100,000. If you've got a degree and you can speak English, to teach people English, private tuition. I doubt you'll be getting paid that much to teach them Spanish. And I bet you'll be getting paid absolutely fucking nothing to teach them Indian or to teach them Chinese. I fucking guarantee it. And that's because we're the dominant language in the world. So, yeah, this is a big thing, their education. And it's upsetting to me because I see that these people, they're very well-meaning people, they're very good people. And they're denied a lot of opportunities because they don't speak English or have education. And also these kind of people, if they had this information, because they have such good intent in their hearts, they could do so good for the world. So yeah, that's a little rundown on Latin American educational systems and such. I'll continue on with one more video about Latin culture, South American culture, not pertaining to education, just kind of general culture. And yeah, thanks for watching. Hope you enjoyed it. See you later.